Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty much everyone's bumped into lately, online education or e-learning.
That's right.
And our sources aren't really asking if it works. I think we know it can be effective, but more how you go from just, having access to actually succeeding long term.
Exactly. It's about getting past the basics.
Yeah, we want to get into the real tactics, the stuff that actually makes the difference between finishing strong and, dropping out.
Right. And for you, the learner, the key thing to grasp is that it's not just clicking through videos on some website. It's actually a structured system.
You mean the platform itself?
Yeah, using the learning management system, an LMS. Think of it as your digital classroom. It's where the course lives, where you track your progress, find all the materials. It's the whole infrastructure.
Okay, and the tech side.
Yeah.
It's more than just having a laptop and internet, isn't it? What about connection speed, stability, especially if there are live classes?
Good point. That's a really critical distinction.
Yeah.
If your course is mostly asynchronous, pre-recorded videos, readings you do on your own time, then a basic stable connection is probably okay.
Right.
But if you've got synchronous elements, live Q&As, group calls, maybe workshops, then you need decent, reliable bandwidth, real bandwidth.
Because otherwise,
if you're constantly buffering or the video keeps dropping, it's not just annoying. You actually lose track, you miss things, you can't really participate properly with the others. It undermines the whole thing.
got it. Okay, so that sets the stage. Our mission today, then, is to break down the big advantages, but maybe more importantly, give you a kind of blueprint for managing yourself, because that seems to be the tricky part.
That's where a lot of people stumble, yeah.
Right. So let's unpack this, starting with the big one, the thing that draws everyone in, flexibility.
It's definitely the headline benefit, this huge surge in popularity. It really boils down to freedom, control over your own learning.
And the sources break this down, right, into different types of flexibility.
They do. 3 main kinds.
Okay, the first two seem pretty straightforward. There's flexibility of place you'll be taking a course from a top university, but you're sat on your sofa.
Literally anywhere with internet.
And flexibility of time. So fitting study around your job or kids, maybe studying late at night or on weekends, makes education accessible.
Absolutely. Opens doors for a lot of people.
But the third one, flexibility of pace.
Yeah.
You said that's the most powerful cognitive advantage. How so?
Well, think about a normal classroom. The teacher has to aim for the middle, the average speed.
Right. Some people get bored, others get lost.
Exactly. But online, if you hit something tricky, maybe a complicated bit of code or a dense historical argument, you can just pause, rewind, watch it 5 times if you need to. That control lets you really tailor the learning to your speed. It makes it potentially much more efficient.
Okay, so we've got place, time, pace. The flexible trio. Sounds amazing, like the perfect way to learn.
It can be.
But, and this is a big but, isn't it? This freedom. It's also the biggest hurdle. I mean, we hear about really high dropout rates for some online courses. How does that flexibility turn into a trap?
That's the absolute crux of it. Flexibility is amazing, powerful even, but it demands serious self-management. Radical self-management, almost.
Take the pace thing you mentioned.
Yeah, flexibility of pace. Great, you can pause.
Yeah.
But the trap is pausing forever. Getting bogged down.
Like analysis paralysis.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Spending ages perfecting notes on an easy intro concept, meaning you never actually get to the hard stuff. You fall behind the schedule the course expects. So freedom needs discipline to keep moving.
And beyond the flexibility challenge, there's just the sheer amount of choice out there now. The variety, the accessibility.
It's incredible. Almost infinite courses, top degrees, practical skills, hobbies like photography or cooking, loads of options. Many are affordable, even free.
Which makes deciding where to even start pretty daunting. So this brings us to the first really practical step, choosing the right course. How do you navigate that?
It all starts with one crucial question: understanding your why, your motivation.
Okay.
The sources are really clear on this. Knowing why you're doing it helps you choose the right thing, and critically, helps you stay motivated when it gets tough.
So what are the main whys? How do they differ? Let's say someone's doing it for their job versus just for fun.
Right. If your goal is professional, maybe getting a promotion, learning specific software, getting a certificate, or even changing careers completely, then you need to be laser focused.
Focused on what specifically?
On courses that offer real credentials, maybe portfolio projects you can show employers, skills that are directly relevant to jobs. Practical outcomes are key. The course structure might even need to feel a bit like work, maybe with group projects or simulations.
Okay, makes sense. And if it's more for personal interest, like you just want to learn about, I don't know, astronomy or something.
The priorities shift completely. It's less about the certificate and more about the quality of the teaching, how deep the content goes. Does it spark your curiosity?
So you're looking for a great instructor, engaging material.
Exactly. Reading reviews about how passionate the teacher is or how good the videos are, that becomes much more important. You're chasing understanding, maybe mastery, not just a line on your CV.
All right, so motivation is clear. Then the practical research starts, looking at course platforms.
Yes, use the big platforms, but really read the course description, the syllabus. Don't just glance at the title. Make sure it covers what you think it covers.
And reviews. The sources really hammer this point home. Check the reviews and ratings from other students.
Absolutely essential. It's not just like buying something on Amazon. It's quality control. Does it actually deliver? Does the teaching style fit how you learn? Other students' experiences are invaluable there.
Okay, research done, course selected, signed up. Now, preparing your environment. The usual advice is just find a quiet space. That sounds a bit weak now with all the digital distractions.
It is insufficient, yeah. You need more than quiet. You need to actively build like a distraction firewall.
A firewall. Tell me more.
Well, a dedicated study space isn't just a physical location. It's a mental construct, too, a ritual. It should be a specific spot. Could be a desk, a corner of the kitchen table, but it's only for studying, nothing else.
And the firewall part, how do you build that?
By creating deliberate friction between you and your usual distractions. We all know the phone is enemy number one. Don't just put it on silent. Silent face down and in another room.
Yeah.
Or in a drawer, out of sight, out of easy reach. Create that barrier.
A no distraction zone.
Precisely. And close those other browser tabs. No social media, no news feeds open in the background. You also need to tackle the why of distraction. Often our brain craves something new when faced with hard thinking.
Right, it's looking for an escape.
Exactly. So your study space needs to signal, okay, this is where we do the hard thinking. That discomfort is normal, expected. We work through it here, not escape it.
Environment set. Firewall up. Now let's walk through the actual class experience. You log into the LMS, you see your dashboard, and maybe that little progress bar, 5% complete. That's quite motivating, actually.
It is. Small wins.
You click play on the first video. Now, the standard advice is take notes. But some sources critique that as being too passive. How do we make learning truly active?
Yeah, just copying down what the instructor says isn't the best way. We need to leverage the fact that it's usually asynchronous. You can pause.
So use the pause button strategically.
Exactly. Active learning means doing things that require high-effort retrieval practice, pulling the information out of your brain, not just pouring it in.
Okay, give me an example of that during a video lesson.
Sure. Watch for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, then pause the video. Before you move on, try to summarize those last few minutes in your own words without looking at your notes.
Okay.
Or, if the instructor explains a concept, pause and try to think of 2 or 3 real-world examples yourself. Connect it to something you already know, your job, your life.
So you're forcing your brain to process it, not just record it.
Exactly. That effortful retrieval, connecting it to existing knowledge, that's what makes it stick far better than just passively transcribing.
That definitely sounds more demanding. Which brings us back to time management. That flexibility means you're the boss, the manager, the scheduler, everything.
Which requires serious self-discipline and tools.
Tools like?
The absolute lifeline is a study schedule.
Yeah.
You have to treat study time like a non-negotiable appointment.
Don't just wait until you feel like it.
Suppose you probably won't.
Yeah.
Look at your week ahead work, family, other commitments. Find specific blocks of time for studying. Write them down in your calendar. Tuesday, 7, 8 p.m., Thursday, 8, 9 p.m., whatever it is.
And protect that time.
Fiercely. Treat it like a meeting with your most important client. It's booked. It's happening.
And when planning those blocks, the sources advise against like marathon sessions, right?
Absolutely. Consistency beats cramming every time. Your brain can only absorb so much effectively in one go. It's far better to do, say, 1 hour on 4 different days than try to power through 4 hours straight on a Sunday afternoon. You'll retain more.
So shorter, more frequent sessions, how do you structure those? Make them focused.
Well, using something like the Pomodoro technique or an adaptation of it can be really effective, especially for lectures or reading.
The timer method.
Yeah. Set a timer for, say, 25 minutes. Your goal for that sprint is super specific and achievable. Watch the next 10 minutes of video and summarize the key point. Or read these 2 pages and answer the check-in question.
Okay.
When the timer goes off, you force yourself to take a short break, maybe 5 minutes. And crucially, get away from the screen. Stretch, walk around.
And then repeat.
Then repeat. This breaks the work into manageable chunks, fights burnout, and makes it easier to just get started on the next block. It frames studying as intense but limited.
That makes sense. One more thing on scheduling, does the type of course matter? Like studying history versus learning to code.
Oh, hugely. That's a really important distinction people often miss.
How so?
Quiz-based courses, things heavy on facts and concepts like history or biology, benefit from that distributed practice we talked about, those shorter, frequent Pomodoro-style sessions to keep recalling information.
Okay. And project-based courses. Coding, design, writing.
They often need what's called deep work. You need longer, uninterrupted blocks of time, maybe 60 minutes, 90 minutes, even 2 hours, scheduled maybe once or twice a week.
Why the longer blocks?
Because you need time to get into a state of flow.
Right.
To really grapple with a coding problem, debug effectively, or develop a design idea. If you only chip away at it in 25-minute bursts, you spend most of your time just getting started again, finding your place. You never build momentum.
Right, you need that focused immersion for creative or complex problem-solving work.
Exactly. Different tasks need different time structures.
Okay, this feels like a really solid tactical blueprint now. We've covered the power of flexibility learning anywhere, anytime, but also the huge challenge of self-discipline it creates.
The need to manage your own pace without getting lost.
Then we dug into the foundation, getting clear on your why, your motivation, doing the research to find the right fit.
And building that dedicated, high-friction study space, your fortress against distraction.
And finally, the practical tools for managing yourself. Locking in those study times in your schedule, making them non-negotiable.
Prioritizing consistency over cramming, using those active learning techniques like retrieval practice, not just passive note-taking, and tailoring your schedule to the type of course.
It really highlights how the shift to online learning moves the whole structure of education. It's not external anymore, like the school bell or the teacher telling you what to do.
No, the structure has to come from inside you, your internal discipline.
So ultimately, success isn't just about getting access to the materials. It's about whether you can prioritize, protect, and really use that study time effectively.
Which leads to a really important question for you, the listener, to think about. Now that education is so flexible and you've got these tactics, what's the single biggest habit you need to build or maybe strengthen to make sure you're truly acting as your own successful learning manager, your own LMS admin in a way? What's that one key habit for you?
Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so you sent us a really fascinating stack of sources, all focused on advanced self-directed learning strategies. And, well, almost all of them kept circling back to this single major hurdle.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent, isn't it?
Totally. We all, we hear the basic advice, pick the right course, manage your time, get your study space sorted. But these sources suggest the real challenge for advanced learners isn't really the setup, it's what happens after the schedule's made.
Exactly. And that's really the core of what we want to dig into today. Our mission here is, well, intensely practical. We're kind of moving beyond just the theory of time management.
Right.
We're diving deep into the actual methods your sources offer to beat what some call the silent enemy of progress.
That specific thing that just trips up even really motivated students. And we are obviously talking about procrastination. But what's interesting is how these sources frame it. It's not quite the usual definition.
Absolutely. I think most people tend to think of procrastination as being lazy or lacking willpower, like a moral failing.
Yeah, like it's a character flaw.
But these sources define it differently. It's more about putting off something you know you need to do, specifically because that task triggers negative feelings, anxiety, boredom, feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, so that shifts things. We stop beating ourselves up about character and start thinking, okay, this is a strategic problem and it needs a technical solution almost.
Precisely. And what's really fascinating is why online learners seem particularly vulnerable. You seek out flexibility, right? Yeah. But that very flexibility, well, it's a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, think about it. There's no external accountability built in. No fixed class time you have to show up for. No teacher, standing over your shoulder or asking where your assignment is.
No classmates looking at you if you didn't do the reading.
Exactly. That lack of structure, it just swings the door wide open for avoidance, for procrastination.
And looking at the root causes highlighted in the sources, they're not about intelligence, right? They seem to boil down to maybe 3 main things.
Yeah, That sounds about right.
First, the task just feels huge, overwhelming. Like looking at a syllabus with 10 modules feels like, I don't know, climbing a mountain.
Just sheer volume.
Second, maybe a lack of immediate motivation. The payoff feels really far away. And third, well, just distractions. Social media, family stuff, the fridge. It's all right there.
And it's so easy to just switch to those things.
Yeah.
The goal then becomes finding ways to sort of mitigate those specific triggers.
Agreed. So let's jump into section 1, the tactical toolkit. This is about immediate, like day-to-day focus. How do we actually get started?
Right. Strategy number 1 is pretty foundational, and it hits that overwhelmed feeling head on.
Okay.
It's basically the strategy of breaking down the mountain. Simple idea, but really powerful. If a task feels intimidating, you have to make it smaller. Small enough that it feels almost trivial.
So instead of setting a goal, like finish all of Module 3 this week.
Yeah, forget that. You change the CAS definition completely. Your goal becomes something tiny, like watch one video or answer just 3 quiz questions.
Okay, let's make that concrete. Say Module 4 is, I don't know, 4 hours of reading and a big essay. That definitely feels like a mountain.
Yeah.
But doesn't breaking it down just make the to-do list longer? Does that actually help?
But the psychology here is key. Seeing Module 4 or 10 modules left on a list can be paralyzing. You just don't know where to even begin.
Right.
But seeing 10 small, manageable steps on a checklist, that feels different.
Yeah.
It feels empowering because each little step is a quick win you can check off. You shift focus from the giant outcome to just the very next tiny piece.
So we're talking about engineering small, almost instant successes, getting that little dopamine hit to keep going.
Exactly. That tiny sense of, okay, I did something, fuels the motivation for the next tiny thing. So for that Module 4 example, your plan might look like Monday, just watch the intro video, take notes. That's it. Tuesday, read pages 12 to 25. Wednesday, outline just the essay's conclusion. See, 3 small, non-scary wins.
Yeah.
And suddenly, you've built momentum without even realizing it.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if even that first small step, like watch the intro video, still feels heavy? Like you just can't bring yourself to click play.
That's where strategy 2 comes in. The power of the Pomodoro. This is all about reducing the friction of just starting.
Ah, yes, the tomato timer technique.
Exactly. It's brilliant because it creates this little pocket of artificial pressure, but without the actual stress of a looming deadline.
Yeah.
The deal you make with yourself is simple. Just work for a set period, usually 25 minutes with 0 distractions. Then you get a short break, like 5 minutes.
So the name comes from the creator's little tomato-shaped kitchen timer, right? Pomodoro being Italian for tomato.
That's the story. But the really critical insight from your sources on this, it isn't actually the 25-minute work sprint. It's the break. This is apparently where most people mess it up and slide right back into procrastination.
You mean avoiding the temptation to check your phone or something and then getting lost?
Precisely. During that 5-minute break, the sources are really insistent. You have to do something relaxing, but non-distracting. Key difference. So, stretch, get some water, walk around the room for a minute.
But absolutely no social media, no checking email, no quick YouTube video.
Critically important. Avoid those. Because think about the cost of switching your focus so drastically. Your brain needs to ease back into the study mode.
Right.
If you switch to something super stimulating and easy, like scrolling TikTok or Twitter, your brain's reward system gets this huge, easy hit. And suddenly, the motivation to go back to the harder work of studying just plummets.
So the break has to be genuinely restorative, not just another form of digital consumption pulling you away.
Exactly. Restorative, not extractive. Save the digital stuff for the longer break, the 15 or 20-minute one you take after maybe 4 Pomodoro cycles.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've used time constraints with Pomodoro to force focus. But what about courses that are totally self-paced, where there's no external deadline at all? That seems like procrastination heaven.
It really can be. And that leads us straight into strategy 3, self-imposed deadlines and rewards.
Creating your own structure when none exists.
Exactly. When there's 0 external pressure, delaying feels almost natural, expected even. So you have to simulate that structure yourself. You basically become your own project manager.
And set deadlines that are like non-negotiable, even though you're the one who set them?
Yeah, it sounds a bit artificial maybe. But psychologically it works. Humans just respond to deadlines, even self-made ones. The act of writing it down, I will finish Module 1 by Friday at 5 p.m., or this quiz must be done before dinner on Wednesday. It makes it real.
It externalizes it somehow, takes it out of the vague, I should do this sometime category.
Right. It transforms this infinite kind of nebulous task into something finite and, well, a little bit urgent.
And then, to make sure you actually stick to that commitment you made with yourself, the reward system.
Yes. This is the motivation mechanic. Studying shouldn't feel like pure punishment. It needs to feel like a pathway to something enjoyable.
So finish the module by Friday.
And you get your reward. It needs to be something you actually want, but probably small. A favorite snack you've been saving. An episode of that show you love. Maybe 30 minutes of guilt-free gaming.
It changes the whole feeling, doesn't it? It stops being just a chore you have to do and starts being the thing you do before you get the treat.
Mm-hmm. It reinforces the behavior you want. You're basically training your own brain.
Okay, so we've tackled the internal stuff, the overwhelm, the starting trouble, the lack of deadlines. But online learning can also be, well, really lonely sometimes. Just you and the screen.
That's a huge factor. That sense of isolation is another massive motivation killer. If you feel disconnected, drifting away is just easier. So we need to shift gears a bit. Think about engagement. Connection.
Right. So moving into section 2, how do you build that connection, that sense of community when it's all virtual?
Tip 4 is all about that. Participate and connect. Don't just be a passive observer, lurking in the background.
Get involved.
Yeah. If the course have discussion forums or chat groups or whatever, use them actively. Post your questions, share an idea you had, comment on someone else's post.
Even something simple, like if the instructor asks a question like, hey, what's one new word you learned this week?
Exactly. Answer it. That simple act of posting anchors you. It makes you feel part of a learning community, even a virtual one. It makes the whole journey feel less like you're doing it completely alone.
Okay, so connecting within the course environment, what about connecting the learning to the outside world?
That's tip 5, and it's absolutely critical. Apply learning in the real world. You cannot let the knowledge just stay locked inside the course platform. If you do, your brain kind of treats it as temporary abstract info.
Doesn't stick.
It doesn't stick nearly as well. You have to move it into practice, ideally right away. So if you're learning English, don't just memorize grammar rules. Use them.
Like actually write an email to a friend using that new structure.
Yes. Or practice speaking with a language partner if you can. Post a comment in English on social media using new vocabulary. If you're learning, say, graphic design, try redesigning a logo for a fictional company.
Make it tangible.
Make it tangible. That application is where the real learning cements itself. It links what you're studying to actual value in your life.
And that leads nicely into tip 6, which feels connected to avoiding that stuck feeling we talked about. Be an active questioner.
Oh, absolutely. If something isn't clear, maybe a complex theory, a tricky grammar point, anything, you cannot just skip over it. Don't just let it slide.
Because that creates a gap, right? And that gap will just cause problems later.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It creates a weak spot in your understanding, which leads to frustration down the line. And that frustration, it's a direct path back to feeling demotivated and wanting to procrastinate again.
So use the tools available, email the instructor, post in the forum, even just Google it or look it up on YouTube until it clicks.
Do whatever it takes to resolve that confusion. Asking questions isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign you're actively engaged. It prevents a small misunderstanding from completely derailing your progress. That discipline, just finding the answer, keeps your momentum going.
And reaching out, even just posting a question, chips away at that isolation feeling, too.
It's a powerful antidote. You're not alone with the problem anymore.
Okay, this is all great tactical stuff, but online learning is often a long game. So that brings us to our final section, the marathon mentality. What about keeping it going long term?
Right. Sustained success. The sources are really clear. Online learning is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So the first tip here for that long haul, it sounds simple, maybe obvious, but it's often overlooked. Track your progress.
You need proof you're actually moving forward.
You really do. You need those visible indicators. Pay attention to that progress bar in the course, seeing it pick up to 20%, then 50%. That's surprisingly motivating.
Or even just keeping a simple journal, right? Like writing down your goals for the week and then checking them off.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing how far you've already come is incredibly powerful, especially during those weeks when the material feels really tough or, life gets in the way.
Which it inevitably does.
Inevitably. That visualization reminds you that all those small, consistent efforts are adding up. They're building towards something significant.
And tracking progress feeds right into the next point, doesn't it? Stay consistent.
Absolutely. Consistency is everything in this marathon. You don't necessarily need to cram for hours every single day. In fact, that's probably counterproductive.
Yeah, burnout is real.
Totally.
Yeah.
But you do need to show up regularly, create a routine, even if it's a small one. Maybe it's just 30 minutes every Tuesday and Thursday evening, or an hour every Saturday morning.
Just keeping the engine warm, so to speak.
That's a perfect way to put it. Those small, consistent efforts, even just say 1 solid hour a week, they compound over time. You're basically fighting against the natural decay of knowledge and motivation. Consistency is your main weapon in that fight.
Okay. And linked to that sustained effort, my personal favorite point, and maybe one that advanced learners sometimes forget. Celebrate every win.
Yes. And this isn't just about, vague positive thinking. This connects directly back to the reward system we discussed earlier. It's about consciously reinforcing the behavior.
So you finished a really difficult module.
Celebrate it. You finally understood that concept you were struggling with. Or you got a tricky quiz question right.
Acknowledge it. Don't just rush on to the next thing.
Exactly. Take a moment. Acknowledge that small victory. These little celebrations, no matter how minor they seem, they keep that internal motivation battery charged. You're sort of manually injecting positive feedback into a process that can often feel quite neutral or even difficult.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Okay, that was a lot of ground covered, a really comprehensive toolkit. Let's maybe try and synthesize the main threads for everyone listening.
Sure. So we basically hit 3 main areas, drawing from those sources. First was procrastination defeat. Remember, treat it like a strategic challenge, not a character flaw. Use those tactics. Break big tasks into tiny ones. Try the Pomodoro technique, especially the mindful breaks. Set those firm self-deadlines, and definitely use rewards.
Got it. Second area was engagement and application. Don't be isolated. Actively participate in forums or chats. Crucially, apply what you're learning to the real world immediately so it sticks. And be an active questioner. Don't let confusion stop you.
And third, motivation and sustained success, the marathon part.
Yeah.
Track your progress visibly. Stay consistent, even small amounts regularly. And make sure you celebrate every single win along the way to keep that motivation high.
What's really striking about all these strategies when you put them together is this realization that the very flexibility that draws people to online learning, it's actually a profound test of personal discipline, isn't it?
It really is. It demands you take complete ownership in a way that traditional settings might not. You have to build your own structure, your own accountability.
You are kind of your own greatest asset in making it work, but also potentially your own biggest obstacle, your main source of distraction.
It forces an internal commitment, yeah. Traditional classrooms often provide that structure externally. Online, it has to come from within.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on as you think about putting this toolkit into action. If you decide to try the Pomodoro technique this week, those 25-minute bursts, what is one specific, non-digital, genuinely restorative activity you will commit to doing during those 5-minute breaks? Something that guarantees you won't get sucked back into the digital vortex and lose your focus. Think about it carefully. That little 5-minute choice could be the key to unlocking consistency and really building momentum. Choose wisely.
Fantastic insights. Thank you for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So, you signed up for that online course, maybe digital marketing, maybe web development, maybe a language.
Yeah.
You've got the login. You've maybe even blocked out time.
That's the easy bit, right?
That's the starting line. But the real race, the endurance part, that comes next. We're looking beyond just how to start.
Yeah, exactly. Because the data, well, it shows a lot of people don't finish. And it's often not the course material itself that trips them up.
It's the, let's say, the operational side, the feeling of being swamped, losing steam, getting sidetracked. Those are the big hurdles we see again and again.
So that's our focus today. We dug into what really makes or breaks success in online learning after those first few weeks. And it seems to boil down to, well, 3 main things.
3 big ones. Feeling totally overwhelmed by all the information, keeping that motivation going when things get tough, or, frankly, boring and just battling constant distractions.
Right. So our mission here is to give you practical, actionable things you can do, like right now, to navigate those exact challenges. Real strategies based on what works to keep you moving forward, not just theory.
Okay, let's tackle the first monster.
Yeah.
Information overload. You log in, you see this huge list of modules, videos, readings, quizzes.
Yeah, it's like looking at a mountain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's not exciting, it's just daunting. You feel like you're drowning before you even start.
That's a classic cognitive load problem. Your brain just shuts down when it sees too much. So the absolute first strategy, the most critical one, is ruthless prioritization. Focus only on the next single task.
So stop looking at Module 10 when you're still on Module 1.
Forget Module 10 exists. Don't even think about the whole week's worth of stuff sometimes. It's like climbing a ladder. You don't stare at the top. You just focus on putting your foot on the very next rung.
Okay, make that concrete for me. Let's say my web development module this week has 2 video lectures, a big reading on CSS frameworks, a quiz, and you need to make a discussion post. How do I apply that next rung idea?
You absolutely do not put finish Module 3 on your to-do list for Tuesday. That's a recipe for procrastination.
Right. Too big.
Way too big. Instead, you say, okay, today, between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m., I will watch the first video and take notes on it. That's it. It's specific. It's achievable. Probably takes, 45 minutes, an hour?
Okay.
You do that, you succeeded for the day, you get that little win, which makes tackling the reading tomorrow feel much less intimidating. You build momentum.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Breaking it down reduces the perceived effort. But what if, I'm focused on that one video or that one coding exercise, but I just get stuck? Like I don't understand a concept or technical thing isn't working.
Yeah, the roadblock. Crucial point. Don't just sit there spinning your wheels. This is where strategy 2 comes in, reaching out for support. And we need to be really clear, online does not mean alone.
But sometimes those forums feel like shouting into the void, or they're messy, or maybe you're just not comfortable posting.
That's a fair point. So the advice isn't just use the forum. It's about how you use it. Be hyper-specific. Don't post, I'm confused about week 3.
What should you post?
Post something like, in the video on CSS Flexbox at timestamp 4.32, the instructor explains justify content. I understand flex start, but I'm not clear on how space between actually distributes the remaining space. Can someone clarify that specific point?
No? Okay. Much more targeted.
Exactly. It makes it easier for someone to help you quickly. And here's the kicker. When you ask a really good specific question, chances are 10 other people have that exact same confusion.
So you're actually helping build the community resource just by asking your detailed questions.
Precisely. You're co-creating clarity. And getting that specific help stops that small confusion snowballing into feeling completely lost, which leads us right into the next big challenge. Motivation.
Yeah, the motivation dip.
Yeah.
It's real. You're past the initial hurdle. Maybe you understand the concepts, but you're just tired. The initial excitement is gone. Life gets busy.
This is where we shift gears a bit from task management to psychological management. The research is really clear here. Long-term motivation hinges on consistently connecting the daily grind back to your big picture, your why.
Okay, the why. How often do we need to do that? Like daily, weekly? And how to make it stick, not just feel like a cheesy affirmation?
It needs to be regular. Weekly is probably a good minimum baseline, but also, crucially, do it whenever you feel that frustration creeping in. When you're slogging through verb conjugations in your language course,
Yes.
you consciously pause and think, okay, this specific annoying grammar rule gets me one tiny step closer to being able to confidently handle that job interview in English, or this helps me towards that promotion.
So linking the micro task to the macro goal.
Yeah.
But how do you keep that goal visible when you're just trying to get through the day's tasks?
You have to make it unavoidable. Literally keep your eyes on the prize, the most effective tactic. Write down a very specific, measurable goal, not just learn web development.
Well, okay.
Something like, build and launch my first portfolio website with 3 projects by December 1st. Or, achieve B2 level fluency in Spanish by the end of the year. Then, physically put that written goal somewhere you have to see it every day. Stick it on your monitor, make it your phone's lock screen.
That's right there staring back at you when you're tempted to, scroll social media instead.
Exactly. It acts as an anchor. And speaking of accountability, that internal reminder is powerful. But online learning can be incredibly lonely. That isolation makes it super easy to just quietly fade out when things get tough.
Which brings us to strategy 2 for motivation. Social learning, making it less of a solo journey.
Absolutely. You need to deliberately fight the isolation. Find a study buddy, even just one person who's roughly at the same stage in the course, or maybe even just a course. It adds that layer of sort of positive peer pressure.
Okay, but how do you find this mythical study buddy online? Especially if you're introverted.
You have to put yourself out there just a little. Use those course forums again, or maybe you're a related LinkedIn group or Discord server. Post something simple and direct.
Like what?
Hey everyone, I'm working through the digital marketing module on SEO based in the UK. Would anyone be interested in a quick 30-minute chat once a week just to compare notes or discuss tricky concepts? You'd be surprised how many people feel the same way and would welcome the connection.
So you're engineering your own support structure. I like that. Okay, let's move to the final piece. Staying focused and making sure you're actually, growing, not just checking boxes. Distractions are the enemy here.
They are relentless. Even if you have a dedicated space, the digital world is designed to pull your attention away. So, first line of defense. Proactive digital shields.
Okay, what tools should people be looking at, like immediately?
Focus apps and browser extensions are pretty much non-negotiable for serious online study. Things like Forest, Freedom, Focus at Will tools designed specifically to block those time-sucking websites and apps during your study blocks.
Social media, news sites?
All of it. And yes, it sounds basic, but putting your phone on Do Not Disturb and, ideally, out of sight. Foundational. You're guarding your focus fiercely.
Okay, shield up. But sometimes, even with zero notifications, just starting feels like pushing a boulder uphill, that inertia.
Oh yeah, the blank screen stare. This is where you deploy the quick win technique. But it's not just about doing something easy, it's about understanding the psychology.
Go on.
You deliberately start your study session with a very small, almost effortless task related to the course. Maybe review your notes from yesterday for 5 minutes, or watch the short intro video for the next topic, something you know you can complete easily.
So don't try and tackle the hardest problem first thing.
No, definitely not. If you're feeling low energy, completing that tiny task gives you a little dopamine hit. A sense of accomplishment, however small, it's like cognitive kindling. It warms up your brain and makes it easier to then roll into the more demanding work. You've already started, the inertia is broken.
Trick your brain into getting started. I like it. Okay, beyond the daily focus battle, what about the bigger picture of growth, ensuring the knowledge actually sticks? Any final tips there?
3 quick ones. First, reflect on your progress actively. At the end of each week, physically write down, say, 3 new things you learn or can now do. A new coding function you mastered, a complex grammar point you finally get, a marketing concept you applied.
So it's not just about tasks completed, but skills gained. Combats that feeling of, am I actually learning anything?
Precisely. It gives you tangible proof of progress. Second tip, experiment with how you learn. Online learning offers flexibility, so use it. Don't just stick to one method. Maybe one week you take super detailed, color-coded notes. The next week, try using only flashcards for recall. The week after, try explaining the concepts out loud to a study buddy, your cat, the wall, doesn't matter. See what actually helps you retain information. Is it writing, speaking, visualizing? Test it.
Right. Personalize your learning process. Don't just be a passive consumer.
Exactly. And the final tip, maybe the most important, be kind to yourself. Seriously. Online learning, especially self-directed, is hard. You will fall behind sometimes, you will have off days, you will make mistakes. That's all part of the process.
So it's not about perfection.
Not at all. It's about persistence. The goal isn't to have a flawless record. It's simply to get back on track after you stumble. Dust yourself off and take the next small step. That resilience is far more valuable than speed.
That's a really empowering way to frame it.
Okay.
Okay, let's quickly recap the core strategies. To beat overwhelm, focus ruthlessly on the very next small task and ask for specific help when you get stuck.
To keep motivation high, connect every small effort back to your big, visible why, and find at least one study buddy for accountability and, honestly, fun.
And to stay focused and keep growing. Use digital tools to block distractions, start sessions with a quick win, actively reflect on what you've learned, experiment with different study methods.
And cut yourself some slack. Be persistent, not perfect.
Brilliant. That feels like a solid toolkit.
It really sets you up for success. So, building on that idea of experimenting, here's a thought to leave you with. If finding your best way to learn means trying different things, what's one completely new study technique, maybe flashcards if you always write notes, or teaching it aloud if you're usually silent, that you'll commit to trying in your very next study session? Just try it. See what happens. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we give you the shortcut to serious knowledge. So, if you're listening, you've likely nailed the basics of online learning already.
Yeah, things like managing time, fighting procrastination.
Exactly. Staying awake through that long lecture. You've got the survival badge, basically.
Right. But today, we're shifting gears. Yeah. We're not just talking about surviving or, getting that certificate.
And then we're going deeper.
We're aiming for mastery, turning what's on the screen into something you can actually do. And that means focusing on two key things. Really using the tech effectively and figuring out what happens after the course ends.
Right. It's more than just watching videos. So our mission today is to give you some, well, concrete steps, actionable stuff to move beyond just finishing.
We're looking at leveraging the technology better and, crucially, planning for life post-certificate.
Yeah, how do we actually turn that knowledge into real growth? Let's dive in. First up, technology as your learning partner, not just a screen. Okay, so most people use note-taking apps, sure. But the course platform itself, Coursera, Udemy, whatever, we often just treat it like a video player, don't we?
We do, and that's a missed opportunity. These platforms are actually quite sophisticated. They're designed to help manage complex information.
So what are we missing? What features should we really be exploiting?
Well, the first thing is using the platform to manage your effort and your focus, your flow state, not just ticking boxes.
Okay.
So don't just watch the video. Look closely at the progress tracking. I don't just mean seeing 50% done.
Right, that's just a number.
Exactly. Use that number, that data, to actually plan your pace. If you see exactly how many quizzes or big projects are left, you can allocate your mental energy better. Deep work for the projects, maybe quicker reviews for smaller things.
I see. So progress tracking becomes less of a report card, more like a personal project management tool. Okay, that makes sense. What about using those little bits of time, like commuting, waiting in line, that sort of dead time? How can the platform help maximize that?
Yeah, good question. You need to think about mobility and offline access right from the start. If there's a mobile app, get it. Download stuff for offline use.
Standard advice, maybe?
Well, here's the key bit. Don't try to learn a complex new topic on your phone while you're on a noisy train. That's usually not effective.
Okay, so what do you do?
Use the mobile app mostly for review or quick quizzes, things that need less intense focus.
So you're matching the task to the environment.
Exactly. That maximizes the dead time without wasting your prime focused study hours. And related to offline, make it a habit. Download all the PDFs, worksheets, everything right away.
Put them somewhere safe.
Yes, in one organized folder outside the platform, so you still have them long after your course access might expire.
Good tip. Reserve the heavy cognitive stuff for quiet time. Okay, accountability. Self-discipline is great, but it fails sometimes. How can the platform be more like a virtual assistant?
By setting up really specific targeted notifications, not just the generic, hey, Module 3 is open.
Like what specifically?
Leverage the settings to get reminders for specific important deadlines. Maybe set one that says, quiz on Chapter 4 due in 48 hours, needs about 2 hours prep.
Oh, I like that. It builds in the prep time.
Right. It's specific. It prompts action, not just awareness. It keeps you on track without you having to constantly remember everything. Takes load off your brain.
Keeps things on the rails. Okay, let's talk notes. We're assuming people are using Notion, Evernote, something digital, but how do you stop it becoming just a massive, messy digital pile?
Yeah, the digital graveyard problem. It's real.
How do we make notes truly useful? Searchable, yes, but maybe more.
The power isn't just in capturing, it's in the structure. The taxonomy you build. Don't just copy-paste text. Focus on interlinking and contextual tagging.
Okay, give me an example. Let's say an English course.
Right. You're learning phrasal verbs, idioms, maybe grammar. You don't just make a list of phrasal verbs. You create a phrasal verbs page in Notion, sure, put the definition. But then you immediately link it to, say, another page you have called business email phrases, and you tag that phrasal verb informal or formal. That sounds like a lot of work, almost like a second job on top of the course itself.
That's a fair point. It can feel that way initially.
Isn't there a real danger here? You become an amazing note taker, but maybe not an amazing, say, designer or coder, which was the original goal. Where's the line?
That's the critical balance, absolutely. The line is crossed when organizing becomes the goal instead of a tool for retrieval and application.
So how do you avoid that trap?
Template reliance. Set up your system, your tags, your basic page structures, how you plan to link things once right at the beginning. Then, during the course, you spend almost zero mental energy deciding how to organize. All your effort goes into capturing and understanding the content.
Okay, so front load the system design. Exactly. If you spend, say, 5 hours building a really smart template, but that template saves you 50 hours down the line when you need to find something specific or revise, it's time well spent. The goal is easy retrieval when you need it.
Got it. Okay, one more tech piece. Complementary tools. How do we properly integrate external apps with the course platform, make the whole tech stack work together?
Right. This is about going beyond just listing useful apps. The external tools should fill a specific methodological gap the main platform might have.
Okay, like what?
So for coding students, using GitHub isn't just about having a place to store projects. It's actually a learning tool itself because of version control.
Explain that connection. How does version control help you learn?
Well, when you're learning code, you make mistakes constantly. If you break your whole project, you might just want to scrap it and start over, right? You lose the learning embedded in that mistake.
Yeah, frustration takes over.
GitHub lets you commit your work in small working chunks. If you then mess something up badly, you can just roll back to the last working version instantly. This teaches you systematic debugging. You can see exactly when and how you broke things.
So it stops you from losing all progress and makes the mistake itself a traceable learning moment.
Precisely. It turns errors into documented steps in your learning journey, not just frustrating dead ends. Prevents burnout, too.
That's a fantastic insight. So GitHub isn't just for showing off later, it's part of the learning process.
Yes, and that's the general rule. Use tech to fill specific methodological gaps, to actively support how you learn, not just what you learn.
Okay, so we've used the tech smartly during the course. We aced the final quiz, got the certificate, maybe even have this amazing interlinked Notion set up. Now what? This feels like the crucial part, turning that knowledge into actual valuable skill.
Absolutely crucial. The moment you get that certificate, honestly, the clock starts ticking on that knowledge becoming outdated or forgotten.
Scares you a bit, doesn't it?
It should. The only way to stop that clock, or at least slow it down, is immediate, almost aggressive, real-world application. You have to shift from just consuming information to actively creating something with it.
Okay, active creation. Give us some solid examples. Easy for coding, maybe? Harder for something like, say, communication skills or language learning.
Good point. For a graphic designer, it's not enough to just know design principles. The immediate step is a spec project. Design a full brand identity for a fictional company. Or even better, offer to do something real but small. Create social media graphics for a local charity or a friend's startup.
Make it tangible.
Yes. For the English learner, it's not just practice speaking. It's commit to writing one detailed, well-structured blog post each week on a topic you find challenging. Force yourself to use that new grammar, that formal vocabulary you meticulously noted down.
So the application has to be specific and measurable, something you can point to.
Exactly. Otherwise, the skill just kind of evaporates. It needs to be used to stick.
And when you create something, you have proof. Which leads us nicely into building a portfolio. We're not just talking about listing course names on LinkedIn here, are we?
Definitely not. That's table stakes. We need to think about the portfolio as your digital trophy case, but one that tells a story, not just shows shiny objects.
Okay, tell me more. What should people prioritize to make it stand out?
Most people build what I'd call a showcase portfolio. It just shows the final polished result. Here's the logo, here's the finished report.
Looks good.
Looks good, yes.
Yeah.
But for real mastery and to impress people who understand the field, you need elements of a process portfolio.
Process portfolio. What's the difference? What's the strategy there?
The showcase proves you can do the task. The process portfolio shows you know how to think, how you got there.
The how.
Yes. So if you design an app interface, don't just show the beautiful final screens. Also include maybe some early sketches or wireframes. Show snippets of user feedback you gathered. And crucially, write a short narrative explaining why you made certain design choices. Why this layout over another.
I see. You're showing your reasoning. And that's where those detailed notes you took earlier might come in handy, right? To reconstruct that thinking.
Precisely. You're documenting the learning journey, the problem solving, not just the final answer. That's incredibly valuable to employers, or even just for your own understanding.
Okay, so it shows the skill and the thinking behind it, much deeper. How do you actually present this? Does it need to be a fancy website?
Not necessarily fancy. Start simple.
Yeah.
Pick your best 3 to 5 projects. Maybe not the ones with the highest grade, but the ones where you really solved a tough problem. Collect the evidence.
Screenshots, code files, write-ups.
Exactly. Then use a free, easy platform, Wix, Card, maybe even just a well-structured LinkedIn post or a profile section, or Behance for visual stuff. Make it easy for someone to see your work and understand your process in like 3 clicks or less.
Accessibility is key. Okay, so we've applied the skill, we've documented the proof. What's the last step? How do you keep the momentum going, stop yourself from just stopping?
This is vital. It's the commitment to lifelong learning. but viewed as a structured sequence, not just random curiosity.
What do you mean by structured sequence?
You have to plan your next learning step almost immediately while you still have that energy from finishing the last course. The big mistake is picking the next course based on what's popular or what seems easy.
So what should drive the choice?
You need to do a quick skill gap analysis. Go back to your original why. Why did you take the first course?
Career change, promotion, personal interest.
Right. If it was career-focused, look again at job descriptions for the roles you're aiming for. What skills are listed under preferred or nice to have that your recent course didn't cover in depth?
Ah, so you're looking for the adjacent skills.
Exactly. If you just finished, say, basic data analysis, the next step isn't just advanced data analysis. Maybe it's specifically data visualization with Tableau or statistical modeling in Python, because those are the specific complementary skills employers are asking for.
Use platform recommendations, but filter them.
Filter them ruthlessly based on your actual goal. It's about building a coherent stack of competencies, layer by layer, not just collecting unrelated certificates.
So after finishing basic English, you don't just drift. You might deliberately choose business English or English for presentations because that directly supports your career goal.
Precisely. It makes every course a targeted investment in your bigger plan. Keeps the momentum purposeful. #tag outro.
Wow, okay. This really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Moving from just getting through a course to actively mastering and applying skills. Let's quickly recap the main pillars. First, treat technology as your smart partner. Use those platform features, those note-taking systems to organize, track, and even learn from mistakes.
Right. Reduce the mental load, enhance the methodology. Second, think application immediately. Don't let the knowledge sit idle. Create something real, something measurable right away. Put it to work.
Build proof. And third, commit to strategic next steps. Don't just finish and stop. Do that skill gap analysis. Choose your next learning move deliberately to build your competency stack. Keep the learning journey moving forward.
Exactly. The world of online education is vast, but with the right strategy, it's yours to conquer, whether for career growth, a hobby, or just personal development.
Okay, so we talk a lot about building that portfolio, especially the process portfolio, to show others what you can do and how you think. That's crucial. But here's a final thought for you to chew on. How can you flip that around? How can you proactively use that same detailed process portfolio, your documented journey, your design choices, your debugging history as a powerful tool for self-assessment?
Interesting.
Not just to showcase your successes, but to honestly identify your own patterns. What specific techniques did you consistently struggle with? What kind of errors kept popping up in your code? What design principle felt shaky? Use that evidence not just to impress others, but to pinpoint exactly what you need to focus on mastering in your next deep dive. How can your past process illuminate the path for future learning?
Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're already, invested in online education, but feel like maybe you're missing those final pieces, the strategies that really turn effort into sustained results, well, this deep dive is absolutely for you. Today, we're digging into source material aimed squarely at the advanced learner. Our mission isn't the basics, like logging in. It's about synthesizing the ultimate elements for that next level of success online. So we're talking about building a truly lasting mindset, busting those stubborn myths that can hold you back, and locking in real long-term motivation.
Exactly. We're shifting the focus here. It's not just about finishing a course. It's about, integrating learning into the very structure of your life. The material we've looked at gives a framework for longevity. We're structuring this around 3 core pillars: mindset, myths, and motivation. The idea is to give you a clear, actionable blueprint right away.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting right at the foundation, the mental framework.
Yeah.
When we talk about a lifelong learning mindset, what does that actually mean, beyond just, being curious?
It's really the solid belief that your skills, your abilities, they aren't set in stone. They're malleable. A lifelong learning mindset means that whether you're, say, 20 or 80, you're actively looking for knowledge. It's a way to stay relevant, adaptive. And what's key for online learners is that the internet, it's turned this from just a philosophy into something you can actually do every single day.
Right, I get the theory. But let's be real, time is often the biggest issue. When life gets busy, demanding, how do you actually do this? How do you build this mindset in practice?
Yeah, well, you start by making it easy to begin. Strategy 1 is basically make learning a habit, not some big event. Because if learning feels like this huge undertaking, you'll just keep putting it off, right? But if it's a non-negotiable habit, like brushing your teeth, you just do it. Consistency is the main tool here, according to the sources.
Okay, but how small are we talking?
Uh,
I've seen advice about hour-long blocks, and that just feels unrealistic for many people.
Yeah, totally unrealistic sometimes. We're talking about an initial commitment of maybe just 15 minutes a day, seriously. The psychology behind it is that 15 minutes feels, well, manageable. It kind of slips past that initial resistance your brain throws up. It minimizes the effort needed to start. The key is making it specific, routine. Maybe even attach it to something you already do. So for instance, instead of just scrolling through news on your phone while you have your morning coffee, use those 15 minutes to actively review vocabulary flashcards for a language you're learning. Actively. Or say you're into data science. Spend exactly 15 minutes on a specific coding exercise. Platforms like Codecademy are great for this. Focus on deliberate practice in that short time, not just passively watching a video. That active engagement, that's what makes 15 minutes actually build mastery over time.
That distinction, active practice versus passive watching in a short window, that feels really important. It makes it seem doable. But okay, let's face it, learning online, or anywhere really, is full of bumps, confusing bits, failed quizzes, tricky assignments. What's the mindset strategy for dealing with that inner voice that whispers, maybe I'm just not good at this?
Yes. That's where strategy 2 comes in. It's all about embracing challenges as opportunities. This means consciously reframing setbacks. When you had a really complex problem, instead of that default thought, oh, I just don't have the talent for this, you actively switch the narrative. You tell yourself, okay, this difficulty, this is exactly where my next bit of growth is going to come from. It flags what you need to learn next. We found this great anecdote about someone named Sarah. She wanted to switch careers, get into graphic design using only online resources. And initially, she was completely overwhelmed by the software, made tons of what she called stupid mistakes, felt paralyzed. But the turning point, it came when she started seeing every single mistake, not as proof she was failing, but as data. Each failed attempt taught her something specific, what not to do, or which tool she needed to master next. It gave her direction. That mindset shift let her stay resilient. She kept up her daily practice, used discussion forums to get targeted feedback, and yeah, eventually she made a successful career switch. The challenge didn't stop her, it actually structured her learning path.
Wow. Shifting from taking failure personally to seeing it as feedback, as data. That changes the whole game, doesn't it? A really powerful idea. Okay, let's move on to section 2. This feels critical for anyone who still feels a bit hesitant about, the whole online learning thing. There are these myths floating around that hold people back. Let's bust them. What's the biggest, most common misconception we need to tackle first?
I think the number one barrier is probably the belief that online courses just aren't as good, not as rigorous maybe, or high quality as traditional classroom learning. And look, that view's just, well, it's outdated now. The counterpoint, based on what we've seen, is that the quality is often the same, or sometimes even better, provided you choose reputable platforms, of course. I mean, think about platforms like Coursera or ADX. They partner directly with top universities, Ivy Leagues, leading research places, and major global companies. The courses are often developed and taught by the absolute leading experts in that field. You get access to people you'd never meet otherwise. Plus, the flexibility itself is a huge quality booster. Being able to pause a lecture when it gets complex, rewatch a tricky part, apply what you just learned immediately to your work. That often leads to much better long-term understanding than just sitting through a fast-paced lecture in a room.
That makes sense. It addresses the content quality. But what about just getting in? There's still this idea, myth number 2, that you need to be some kind of tech wizard just to navigate the course itself.
Right, that's another common fear. Understandable, but mostly unfounded these days. Myth 2, you need to be super tech savvy to learn online. Maybe in the early days of online learning, things were clunkier. But modern learning management systems, the LMS platforms, they're designed to be incredibly user-friendly. Honestly, if you can handle social media or manage online shopping, you already have like 99% of the tech skills you need. But okay, there's a nuance here, especially for the more advanced learners we're talking about. While the main interface is usually simple, log in, click the lesson, watch the video, some deeper courses might involve more complex tools, things like virtual lab simulators for science courses, or specialized coding environments, maybe collaboration software. But even these are typically introduced step by step. Often with dedicated tutorials right there on the platform. You don't need to be an expert beforehand. The course itself teaches you the necessary tech as you go along. It's part of the learning.
Okay, that clarification is key, that the complexity ramps up gradually with support. Good. Finally, let's tackle myth 3. This idea that learning online is automatically isolating. Lonely, even.
Yes. Myth 3. Online learning is lonely. This one really underestimates the power of connection online today. Online courses are essentially global classrooms. Okay, yes, you might be physically alone at your desk, but you instantly gain access to this incredible diversity of perspectives through discussion forums, peer review assignments, live Q&A sessions with instructors and TAs. Think about it. If you're studying, say, global economics online, you're not just hearing from people in your town. You might be in a lively debate in the forum with a fellow student from Japan or someone in Brazil, each bringing unique insights. That just doesn't happen in a purely local class. That peer interaction, the accountability, the sheer richness of global viewpoints, it transforms potential isolation into really deep social learning.
That's actually a perfect bridge because community, sharing, that feeds right into our third pillar, keeping motivation high. It's one thing to start strong, full of enthusiasm. Yeah. But how do we actually engineer that long-term drive, the kind needed to finish demanding online programs?
Right, you need some solid motivational strategies in place. The first one is about how you frame things mentally. Visualize your success. And this isn't just, idle daydreaming. It's a serious pre-commitment technique. You need to take regular time to vividly really feel the outcome of reaching your specific learning goal. When you visualize like that, you anchor your present actions, the hard work now, to a really compelling future reward. So if your goal is maybe professional translation, picture yourself confidently using that new language in a high-stakes business meeting. Hear the sounds, feel the confidence, the sense of accomplishment.
You suggest like a concrete exercise, something more structured than just a passing thought.
Absolutely. The research points towards making it a regular, detailed practice. Maybe set aside just 5 minutes once a week. Close your eyes. Run through a mental movie. It's 1 year from now. You've achieved your goal. What are you doing? Who's there? Crucially, focus on the feeling, the pride, the relief, the new capability you have. This kind of intentional mental rehearsal actually strengthens the brain pathways linked to that success. It helps you push through procrastination right now.
That's structured visualization.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that would be powerful. You mentioned community earlier, too. How do we leverage that for motivation to keep ourselves accountable?
That's strategy too. Share your journey with others. Accountability is a huge motivator. Simply by stating your goals publicly, or even semi-publicly, telling friends, family, posting in an online course community, you activate a kind of positive social pressure. Suddenly, it's not just you letting yourself down if you skip a week. There's this sense of responsibility to your network, and it builds positive feedback loops too. When you share small wins, hey, everyone just finished Module 3, that was tough, but feeling proud, you often get encouragement back. That immediate validation is like fuel to tackle the next challenge.
Makes sense. Okay, but what about the daily grind? The long stretches where the finish line seems miles away. How do we stop from burning out?
That's where the final strategy is absolutely vital for endurance. Celebrate the process, not just the destination. Look, if you only wait for that final certificate or degree, your motivation is likely to fizzle out long before you get there. It's too far away. You have to treat every small step, every act of deliberate practice as a win in itself, something worth acknowledging. So instead of only rewarding yourself for the final A grade, reward the effort. Reward yourself for actually doing that tough 15-minute practice session when you didn't feel like it, or for getting through that dense chapter of reading you were dreading. These small rewards, maybe taking a walk, treating yourself to a nice coffee after a focused study block, they reinforce the positive behavior, the consistency. It keeps the motivation engine running smoothly.
That's a fantastic rundown of really practical strategies.
Right.
Okay, let's quickly recap the 3 main areas we covered for everyone listening.
Right. So first, we talked about building that lifelong learning mindset. Key things were making learning a small, consistent daily habit, just 15 minutes, and really reframing challenges as growth opportunities, like Sarah's story showed us.
Then second, we busted those common myths. We showed that online learning can be incredibly high quality, it's generally very user-friendly even with complex tools, and it can be intensely social, connecting you globally.
Exactly. And third, we laid out that motivational blueprint, using visualization to lock onto your goals, leveraging sharing and community for accountability, and crucially, celebrating the small wins along the journey, not just the final outcome.
So what does this all boil down to for you, the listener? It means you're now equipped with that sort of final layer of understanding. You can move from just doing online courses to really mastering the whole process.
Yeah, and remember, we started with that idea of consistency, that powerful 15-minute daily habit. Think about it. That small, consistent effort, day after day for a year. It adds up to far more than occasional frantic cramming sessions. Monumental growth comes from small, steady steps. So the final provocative thought we want to leave you with is this. Considering the difference between just passively consuming information and actively practicing something, what is the single specific 15-minute learning challenge you will commit to starting today to guarantee your growth over the next year?
That's the challenge for you. Take this knowledge, apply it, commit to that one small habit, and unlock your next level. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.